Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. So I'm sure you guys have been following the president's Truth Social posts. President Trump is absolutely livid with the state of India right now, and frankly, who can blame him? I think the last few months have really been a mask-off moment. This notion that India is some trustworthy ally, that they're a reliable economic trading partner, has gone out the window. And I think what people are starting to realize is that it's a one-way street. It's a one-way exploitation racket. From gaming the visa systems to bleeding jobs, tilting trade to their advantage, now cozying up to Russia and China as they pretend they share the same values as us. You know, enough is enough. For decades, America let India play this parasitic double game. Let's call it Operation Extract as much American wealth as possible, exploit every loophole, even if it means engaging in massive rampant fraud and scams. And while it seems all the bad faith actions have finally woken up the beast known as President Trump, who now seems to be ready to put his foot down and start again flexing American leverage to rein this rogue nation in. It's getting real serious, folks, as now President Trump is proposing essentially shutting down India's tech center, at least in its current state. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so reports are indicating that President Trump is now mulling over a new proposal to stop U.S. tech firms from outsourcing their entire workforce to India. And of course, this is a move that could upend their entire racket. For decades, big tech has been abusing the H-1B system. And on top of that, working with Indian outsourcing giants like Infosys and TCS, it's a full-on freaking racket, and it's gone way too far. These companies are scooping up massive contracts and shipping all sorts of labor and work overseas. And what that's doing is gutting U.S. offices. Entire departments wiped out so cheap labor in India can replace them. And now, of course, outsourcing is one scam, but then there's the H-1B abuse. I did a little bit of research the other day, a little bit of a deep dive, and I learned that Indian firms are flooding the visa lottery with mass applications by sending in multiple applications per person in an effort to bring in an army of workers who are willing to work at a fraction of American wages. Again, it's the same trend over and over again. American workers get pushed aside and in some freak cases forced to train their own replacements. The jobs that they used to have either get filled by a foreign worker or eventually just get shipped overseas anyway. It's a double hit. First your job is stolen here, and then the whole operation packs up and moves out of the country. And then on top of that, you look at the trade imbalance. India's slapping massive tariffs on US products, keeping their markets closed while dumping cheap goods into the American market. They're basically following the Chinese model. We're also learning that they're gaming global energy flows, engaging in oil price arbitrage by buying up discounted Russian oil, refining it, and then selling it for a massive markup.
You started at the beginning describing President Putin as your uncontrollable neighbor you kind of brought over and showed your gun case to. I know part of what the administration has done has tried to make it tougher for Russia to be able to sell its oil, crack down pretty tough on India, which is importing a lot of Russian oil, but not so much when it comes to China. Is China in the wrong for importing so much Russian oil as well? I think they import just as much as India does.
Let's go back and look at the history, though, Becky. And look, China importing it is suboptimal. But if you go back and look pre-22, pre-invasion, 13% of China's oil was already coming from Russia. Now it's 16. So China has a diversified input of their oil. If you go back and look now, I believe India had less than 1% of their oil, 1%, and now I believe it's up to 42. So
wow.
India is just profiteering. They are just profiteering. They are reselling. They've made $16 billion in excess profits, some of the richest families in India. So this is a completely different thing. Like this Indian, what I would call the Indian arbitrage, buying cheap Russian oil, reselling it as product, has just sprung up during the war, which is unacceptable.
You know, India claims to be our partner, but that seems like a betrayal of American national interest and national security now, doesn't it? Again, no wonder the president is absolutely pissed. He is fuming, especially as all these photos are coming out of the Indian prime minister cozying up to Russia and China. You know, in the past, there's been a lot of talks in reducing the reliance on Chinese importation and manufacturing. And for the most part, you've heard, well, we could pivot to India instead of China. Well, nowadays, it seems like they might be two peas in a pod. Or at least that's kind of the message they're sending. They want to play both sides. They want to bleed us for cash while strengthening ties with our enemies. And then to make matters worse on top of all of that, India has also become the global scam capital.
My name is Anderson Parker. I'm here today from Global Services.
From tech support fraud to IRS scams to visa fraud, fake call centers robbing seniors of their savings, it's practically become a national industry. And if we scale that attitude up to global trade policy, well, I think you start to see a little bit of a pattern. Extract, take, cheat, and never give back. Take and take and take, but never give. Not exactly a great and reliable trading partner. It's less of a partnership and more predation. I'm happy with the pushback, but most importantly, I'm happy with the message that's being sent. Now, do I think it's possible that the president's gonna, shut down the entire outsourcing industry? Of course not. It's not gonna happen. You got people in India working for $4,000 a year in some of these tech positions. I mean, obviously, that kind of financial incentive is hard for companies to ignore. You're just not gonna be able to eliminate it entirely. But to be completely honest, I think it's less about shutting down the racket entirely and more about maybe slowly chipping at it, but most importantly, sending a message to India. We're not dumb, we're not blind. We see what you guys are doing. We see the two-faced nature of this relationship. And President Trump is signaling that he wants an end to this one-way street. And that's what this is, right? It's just like the massive tariffs that get slapped on. I don't think President Trump wants to completely shut down economic cooperation. No, what he wants to tackle is the predatory nature of it. There has to be a balance. There can't be American workers who could fill these jobs going out of work or entire departments shutting down. There has to be a balance of trade. It can't be India receiving and receiving and receiving and never giving. If the Indian economy is going to continue extracting American wealth, they're going to have to give something up. They're going to have to start playing ball on the world stage. It's again the classic Trump play, using that mighty American leverage. If India wants to keep calling themselves a strategic partner, well then you better start acting like one. Drop the insane tariffs on American products, open up your markets instead of shielding them behind endless red tape, stop dumping your cheap goods, start buying more American energy and American agriculture, start contributing on defense and really joining the established democratic world. They call themselves a democracy and a developing nation, and here they are best friends with China and Russia. Well, enough is enough, and now by putting outsourcing on the chopping block, President Trump is lobbing an existential threat to the single most important artery of India's economy, their IT and service sector that survives off siphoning American jobs and contracts. I mean, just think of it. If Donald Trump moves on this, it's not going to be a minor hit. We could be looking at complete, utter decimation of India's economic crown jewel. And that's really the strategy here, and you know that they're going to answer. I mean, they have no other choice. It's negotiate or face utter decimation. Their entire economic model can crumble overnight. That's the power of American leverage, and Donald Trump is now forcing the Indian government to the table. Start cleaning up your act. The visa scams, the outsourcing games, the trade imbalances, the two-faced BS, start doing something about it, or we'll simply find someone else to do business with. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.